Welcome to Monday, the 6th of March, 2023. My name is Jimmy Bradbury. I help people to get out of a 9-to-5 or a business they own, wherever they're trading your valuable time for money. And I do it mainly because that's what I did for 25 years. I was working in a 9-to-5 job. I had my own businesses, trading my time for money, paychecks, fee, salary. So I did all of that. So I try to help those people get out of that position and do what I do now, which is create an online business that gives you more time and financial freedom than ever you can imagine. And one of the things that I think is foundational to building an online business is to be able to create content. And for me, Mondays, which it is today here in Australia, which is where I'm shooting this video, is my content day. I just set aside the whole day to be able to create content for the week and sometimes for the whole month. And I'm in the middle of doing that today because it's midday here in Australia. And I just thought I'd jump in here and just share with you today how I approach it. I've talked about this many times before, but in terms of online business, where you're selling or sharing your knowledge and experience, selling it in courses and programs, there's three things that really are key to the marketing of it. Now, we create, but then we have to market and we have to get it out to help people, and they need to be aware of it. There's three, I believe, fundamental parts. Number one, you create content, and that is what I do today on Monday, and I'll get back to that in a moment. Number two, you create an automated sequence to be able to get people to see that content on a regular basis, and you go also out and do live campaigns. For another day, the funnels, the sequences, and also the campaigns. But today I want to talk about the content and share with you three ideas on how it is you can get over this problem that I see so many people having today, which is that kind of, I need to create content, and how am I going to do it? And I just hate doing it. And content is really about expressing your art. And sometimes we have to get out of that self-centered way that we think and say, what is it I know that I can create and share with other people, because it'll help them. And we have to move from that self-centered ideology to that service-based mindset. And I believe that the way that I approach it, I believe helps people. I know it certainly helps me, and that's why I want to share it with you today. So first of all, in my calendar, I block time, which is on a Monday, to create content. And that is the intention that we all need to have. We need to be more intentional about how we do things. So set that intention by creating a block of time in your calendar. I know that for a lot of people, they're also working a day job. They don't have the luxury of being able to create or set aside a whole day to create content. I get that. I understand that. Because I know that when I was starting here in the online world, I only had very small periods of time when I could leave it for helping or for creating my online business. So if you've got a half an hour, you've got an hour, you've got 20 minutes to spare in a week, allocate the time to be able to create content. And that's the starting point. Number one is to allocate the time, so to block it out in your calendar. Number two is to batch that time to create the content. Don't be distracted by social media. Don't be distracted by email lists. Don't be distracted by what's on the web. Don't be distracted by other people. Create that space and set the boundaries around that space to just create content. That's number two. Number three is all you need to do is create one long form piece of content. One long form piece of content. That could be a video. That's what I do. A 10, 15-minute video. It could be a blog, a newsletter, or it could be a podcast. Those are generally considered the main long-form pieces of content. So let's take, for example, what I do. And I'll try and break that down because this is item number three, is I shoot a 10, 15-minute video on a how-to. So say, for example, how to build out an automated funnel. I'll shoot a 15-minute video on how to do that. I will then edit that video, and what I then do is I cut up parts of that video, so I get like 1-minute clips. I get 15-minute clips that you can put out on stories on various social media platforms. I do 1-minute clips that I can then put out on other social media platforms. And I edit that, and that's my videoing done. I take from that video, that 15-minute video, the transcript of it, what I actually said. And usually I do that with an automated system. I use Otter AI. Full disclosure, I don't have any affiliates with them, so I just use them. And they're great for just doing a transcription. There's other platforms out there called rev.com. There's many others out there. I take the video, I transcribe it using an automated system, and I take from that transcription pieces that I use in my newsletter, quotes that I put out on quote cards, and generally use that content to then be able to get out the kind of the written version of what I do. So I've got a video, so that's that kind of visual, of course. Then I take from that, I also take the written. So I've got a newsletter that I can use from the transcription of the video. And then the final piece, I take from the video, the MP3, which is the audio version, and I schedule that as my podcast. So then I've got all three forms of long form content from one piece. And I link it all back to where it all sits, which is on my website. So when I've created that content, I'm then able to measure it. And what I do is, well, first of all, I schedule it out on social media. So I use a platform called Hootsuite, and I automated all of my content for the whole week from that one piece of video for the whole week out on Hootsuite, on all the social media platforms, even though I concentrate on one or two, well, one in particular, but I automated across all of the platforms, just from one long form piece of content. I then measure that at the end of the week to see the likes, the engagement, the shares, and then I look at what are the best performing pieces of content that were out on platforms this week, that I put out there in content, out on platforms, and I take those winning pieces of content and I put them in a library, my content library, of the best engaged posts, like a subfolder of my content library. And then I use that content in future when I might be on the run and I don't have time to be able to shoot or have a day to be able to create my content. So I repurpose it. And I'm not always creating content. That for me is what I do on a Monday. That is what you can do if you allocate the time to do it. Is number one, block out, first of all, allocate time and block it out in your calendar. Number two, batch that time that you've allocated and cut out all distractions, social media, email, website, people interrupting you. Number two. Number three is take that long form piece of content, whether it's a video, an audio, or a written blog, and chop it up and then repurpose it and schedule it out on social media for the whole week. Number four is to measure it every single week, find out the pieces of content that are performing well. And then number five is to put that in a library and then repurpose it through the year so that you're not always having to create content new and fresh every single week. That's what I do. It works really well. And I suggest if you don't have a system to be able to create content every week, that's the system that you might want to consider following. Hopefully that's been useful for you today on Monday, the 6th of March. You can get more information about me and what I do and how I help people create online businesses on my website. So that's jimmybradbury.com, Jimmi, Bradbury.com. There's lots of free content up there. There's all my courses and programs, and you can get contact with me through my email, which is also on my website. And there's lots of testimonials as well. Hopefully that's been helpful for you today, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.